Hey everyone, just a quick update about the future of the channel and why I've been absent the last 2 weeks. If you want to skip straight to the video, there's a timestamp below. So lately, things have been a little chaotic behind the scenes. I'm currently preparing to start university soon, juggling work and dealing with some personal stuff. And on top of all that, I've been fighting off the flu this past week. It's honestly been a lot, and it was the reason I couldn't upload last week as my voice was completely gone. Because of all this, I've decided to shift the channel to one video a week, which will now be dropping every Friday at 12 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. This will give me the time and space to keep delivering high quality content without burning myself out or rushing through that process. I just want to say how incredibly thankful I am for all the support, love, and patience you've shown. It honestly means the world to me. This community we're building is something really special, and even with things changing a bit, I'm more excited than ever for what's ahead. Thanks again for being here, and as always, Fridays are about to get a whole lot darker. You know the feeling. You're watching a video, playing a game, or scrolling online when you see something or someone that seems almost human. The face is symmetrical, the skin smooth, the eyes wide and blinking, but something is wrong. Just under the surface, something is deeply off. The eyes don't focus quite right. The smile is a split second too late. The skin doesn't move with the flesh, and then it hits you. Not intellectually, but instinctively. Deep in your gut, this thing is pretending to be human. A cold chill seeps in, bypassing reason and logic. Your brain screams in silence. This isn't right. This isn't real. Run. That deeply unsettling response is the result of a phenomenon known as the Uncanny Valley. A psychological dip in comfort and empathy, triggered when something looks almost human, but not quite. It's the valley where familiarity decays into dread, where the line between life and imitation begins to blur, and then completely unravel. The term was first introduced in 1970 by Masahiro Mori, a Japanese roboticist. Mori observed that as robots became more and more lifelike, people responded to them more positively, up to a point. But when a robot or human-like figure became too realistic, yet still fell short of perfection, people didn't just lose interest. They reacted with revulsion, fear, and sometimes even horror. Imagine a graph with human likeness on one axis and emotional response on the other. As a character or robot becomes more realistic, our empathy rises, until suddenly, at a certain point, it plunges into a deep emotional trough, the Uncanny Valley. In that valley, affection turns to fear, fascination decays into revulsion, and something that should comfort us begins to feel almost predatory. But why? Why do these almost humans disturb us more than any crude cartoon characters or obvious machines? The answer lies in imperfection. Tiny details that portray the illusion of life, slight delays in eye movement, skin that reflects light incorrectly, muscles that don't flex the way real ones do. When something looks close to human, our brain automatically tries to treat it as one until it spots an error. And when it does, the emotional fallout is harsh. It's like making eye contact with a corpse. The form is there, the features are similar, but the soul is missing. This becomes especially disturbing when the figure tries to be emotive. A robot smiling with empty eyes, a CGI character crying with no genuine sorrow behind the pixels. These forced emotions feel hollow, grotesque, like a mask that's slowly slipping. It's not just visual. The Uncanny Valley is multisensory. Voices that are too monotone, laughs that don't reach the eyes, words delivered with robotic cadence. It all adds up, forming a creature that feels like it's mimicking life, but doesn't live. And that disconnect is horrifying. If you want a well-known example, look no further than the 2004 animated film, The Polar Express. The movie was ambitious for its time, using motion capture to animate characters with lifelike precision. But instead of delight, many viewers, especially children, felt a great unease. The characters' eyes were glassy, almost dead. Their expressions were stiff, and their movements unnatural. It wasn't a charming Christmas tale, it was a lifeless parade of human puppets. Many critics called it a trip into the Uncanny Valley. Some went further, calling it downright creepy. And they were right. This phenomenon has plagued many CGI-heavy films. From Beowulf to Tron Legacy, the closer digital characters get to realism without reaching it, the more their flaws start to stand out. Instead of marveling at how close to real they are, we recoil at how close and yet how far they really are. It's not just disappointment, it's something deeper, a kind of evolutionary alarm. Then there's Sophia, the AI-powered humanoid robot created by Hanson Robotics. Sophia has a highly realistic face that can smile, blink, and even mimic expressions. Her creators designed her to bridge the gap between humans and machines, to feel relatable and also comforting. But many who encounter her don't feel comfort, they feel fear. Sophia's expressions lag just behind natural timing. Her eyes occasionally drift, her smile doesn't quite match the emotion in her words, and her speech patterns, though coherent, carry the sterile intonation of a script rather than spontaneous thought. Watching her speak is like watching someone wear a human face as a costume. Convincing from afar, but deeply unsettling up close. And that's the heart of the Uncanny Valley. The sense that what you're looking at should be alive, but isn't. This unease isn't limited to high-tech robots or even CGI. Sometimes, the most mundane objects plunge us into the Uncanny Valley as well. Dolls, mannequins, even wax figures. They share one thing. They're shaped like us, sized like us, and often stare back like us. But they don't move. They don't breathe. Their stillness becomes eerie, especially in low light or silence. You might glance into a child's room at night and feel watched. Not by a person, but by something pretending to be one. Wax museums are a breeding ground for this fear. Even in bright light, their figures are almost too perfect. Frozen in place with glassy eyes and stiff hands. You know they're not real, but your brain keeps second-guessing itself. And that second-guessing is where fear begins. Because if they're not real, why do they feel so alive? Sometimes it isn't just a still figure that disturbs us. Sometimes it's movement. Too smooth or too rehearsed, but ultimately too wrong. One of the most famous internet relics to ever capture this horror is a video titled, "I Feel Fantastic." A humanoid robot named Tara stands in a blank room, her synthetic face stretched into a neutral expression as she sings, if you can even call it that, in a cold, staccato voice. Her arms jerk mechanically, her blank eyes stare into the lens, The song continues, cheerful in tone but lifeless in delivery. There's no context, no explanation, just a machine, pretending to be happy, pretending to be human. And it's terrifying, because no matter how many times you watch, you can't shake the feeling that there's something sinister behind it all. That behind the wires and code, something else is trying to break through. Something wearing a human shell. Tara is a monument to the uncanny, dancing at the edge of the valley where joy becomes horror. In the age of the internet, we're no longer haunted by puppets or plastic dolls. Now we're haunted by pixels, by code, by faces that never existed. Deepfakes are AI-generated manipulations that replace one person's face with another. At first glance, they can appear to be disturbingly accurate. But look closer. There's a flicker, a distortion in the mouth, a delay in the eyes. The illusion breaks just for a moment. And that moment is terrifying. It's not just about trickery, it's about the unsettling realization that reality is no longer trustworthy. That a digital puppet can wear a human face. That the person you're watching might not exist at all. Some deepfake creators lean into this horror, crafting intentionally disturbing videos where real faces glitch, warp, or behave unnaturally. These aren't just technical errors, they're digital horror stories, a new kind of uncanny. But why does this disturb us so deeply? Why does the Uncanny Valley make our skin crawl, even when we know what we're looking at? The answer may be buried deep into our evolutionary history. Primitive humans needed to quickly assess the health and vitality of others. Was this person alive, or were they dying? Was that movement natural, or was it something trying to imitate life? Recognizing these differences meant survival. Those who couldn't spot the signs of disease, death, or even deception didn't last long in ancient history. So our brains evolved with hypersensitive danger detectors, especially for other human forms. We're not just wired to recognize faces, we're wired to sense when a face is off, when skin tone is wrong. We're wired to sense when a face is off, when eye contact is fake, and when movement doesn't quite match the emotion. The Uncanny Valley is a scar left by that instinct, a warning system flaring to life, whispering that something looks human, but it isn't safe. That thing in front of you, it might be a corpse, it might be diseased, or it might be a predator wearing a mask. And deep in your nervous system, you feel it. Your body tells you over and over to run away from these dangers. But another theory involves our brain's mirror neurons, the system that helps us empathize by mimicking the emotions we see. For example, when someone smiles, we usually smile back, and when someone cries, we're able to feel their sadness. But uncanny figures break that system. Their smiles don't light up their eyes, their tears are mechanical. We try to connect, but there's simply nothing there. The mirror shatters, and what replaces empathy is alienation. It's like trying to hug a mannequin. There's no warmth, no response, just the chilling silence of something that looks alive, but in reality, it isn't. That failure of connection doesn't just disappoint us, it disturbs us, because if we can't read their emotions, we don't know what they'll do. And unpredictability is ultimately terrifying. Some psychologists argue that the Uncanny Valley is partially cultural, that what's considered uncanny changes are based on what we're exposed to. In Japan, where anime and mascots are widespread, exaggerated features might be more acceptable. In the West, where realism is prized, those same features might feel a little bit more jarring. But even across cultures, the basic discomfort remains. And as technology progresses, the uncanny valley doesn't shrink, it shifts. What was uncanny 10 years ago might seem normal now, but new frontiers, hyper-realistic AI, synthetic influencers, virtual humans, continue to redraw these boundaries. The uncanny valley is not just about horror, it's about betrayal. It takes what is familiar, like faces, smiles, human warmth, and it twists it into something other, something that pretends to be one of us. It's the scarecrow that watches you back, the animatronic that blinks a beat too late, the friendly face that flickers into something predatory when you're not looking. It's fear born not from the unknown, but from the almost known, from something that should be comforting, but isn't. So next time you feel that chill, when you lock eyes with a doll or a robot speaks your name with too much familiarity, remember what lies beneath. The uncanny valley is not a place on the map. It's a psychological chasm carved by millions of years of survival instinct. A gap between life and death, reality and imitation. A valley filled with ghosts in digital skin, with puppets that try to feel real, with machines that almost convince us they're alike, but not quite. And in that not quite lies terror, because the most frightening monsters aren't the ones that look inhuman. They're the ones that look just like us, until you get too close.